What's everybody doing? How's everybody's week going? Just do a quick one here to catch up on things, see how everybody's ride into the apocalypse is going. It is Takeout Tuesday. There's my fortune. I don't know. It's backwards. You can't even read it. I don't even know what it says. What does it say? It's kind of dark out here. It's getting close to the darkness. You discover treasures where others see nothing unusual. There we go. It's your fortune of the day for Takeout Tuesday. We'll have to do this more often. I just don't want to zoom, don't want to read that, does it? Low light conditions. We're in low light conditions. We're in strange and unusual times is what we're in. So I'll get this fortune cookie in while we're waiting for people to show up. See who shows up. Maybe everybody's just out there doing the things because they need to be doing the things because it's kind of important about right now. I'm sad to report my garden is suffering. Talking about preparations. Several pumpkin plants died off. Sunflowers are looking bleak, like that last heat wave really took them out. Squash are doing okay, the summer squash. Zucchini still going. The tomatoes aren't ripening. Like there were a bunch of green ones on there a couple weeks ago, and nothing is turning red. So the tomatoes aren't ripening on schedule or any effectiveness. So it's looking pretty bad on the garden side. A few radishes, like the radishes, like just didn't perform. Weeds choking out the carrots, like all kinds of just bad news on that front. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully everybody else is having a more successful operation. I know Tony is now the Tomato King. Congratulations, Tony. Tony said he's going to take the mantle of Tomato King, and based upon what I got going this year, he's definitely going to beat me out because just nothing is coming around. I don't know if it was the heat or if it's something else. Maybe just if it cools, well, not supposed to cool off. Maybe once it does cool off, things will produce a little bit better. But right now, and for the foreseeable future, because it's supposed to be 100 this weekend, ain't going to be going, you know? So hopefully your garden is better than that so that you won't be eating takeout forever. Because there's not going to be takeout available where we're headed, right? So know that ahead of time. Takeout is not going to be an option. I wonder if takeout's an option in Venezuela right now. Venezuela, dealing with their issues, might be short on takeout orders as well. And hopefully they've been preparing for this eventuality for a while. I haven't caught up in the latter half of the day, but earlier in the day it looked like things were still going pretty spicy and with opposing sides against each other. So look to Venezuela as an example of what worst case could look like, I guess you'd say. So know that ahead of time. What is going on? We've got all kinds of people checking in here. These are not our usual suspects. Wow, what a crew. A motley crew at that. We got all kinds of strangers. What is going on, folks? Hope you're doing well out there in the YouTube land. We're in America. In the high desert, if the name doesn't give it away. But thank you for dropping in. Maybe you will pick up something, find another channel on here that you may like. If you think Trump's going to save us, I can't help you because that's just not the case. A new channel that has kind of come around recently is Silver Dave and the local silver mint. He did a video today on the no, it was actually yesterday. Yeah, he did it. It was Monday. Silver Dave did the video about the national debt surpassing 35 trillion. And at this point, the numbers are just made up, right? Like, why does it even matter? So, if you think anybody that you elect is going to protect you from the debt and theft that's going on, you're fooling yourself. So, prepare accordingly. As one famous YouTuber would say, prepare for the coming struggle, as another would say. And that's all accurate statements. But no habla español, but El Salvador. They had a new strongman down there, didn't they, in El Salvador? Kind of putting the shackles on a bunch of the criminals. Or was that Honduras? I think it was El Salvador. But some people are cleaning house. Argentina, looks like Venezuela's cleaning house. America can't get our act together. Right? Yeah, worry about your ammo count, right? Solid advice. Make sure your ammo count is up to speed. But also that your food count, make sure your calorie count is up there too, because you're going to need that. You need the calories to put in when other means fail. So know that food's just as more important than ammo. Armies don't run on empty stomachs. I think I mentioned it a couple chats ago, a couple live streams ago, that I'm getting to the point now, I'm transitioning into the guy that brings the food to the front line instead of the guy on the front line. So I'm kind of resigning myself to the militant farmer role a little more each day, unfortunately. You know, we'll see how it plays out. You got to be ready for eventualities, but you got to know your limitations too, and work on what you're good at. But be ready for all eventualities, because if the Chinese come falling out of the sky, hey, it is what it is, right? You got to do what you got to do. Or whoever comes falling out of the sky. All kinds of... Where are the usual suspects at? This is kind of interesting. The British Army's at its smallest in 300 years. Well, that makes sense. I mean, the Empire's at its smallest it has been in like 400 years, right? It kind of checks out. But we've also used technology to a great amount to leverage, you know, manpower is not as needed as it used to be, which is part of the plan. In my eyes, the powers that be want the technology to replace people so that they won't need to rely on people to enforce their dictates and rules and oppression. They'll just send out drones and robots. You know, that kind of is what my thought is on downsizing armies across the world, not just Western or Eastern or any other type. The idea is to replace people so that robots don't talk back, robots don't eat, really. I mean, they might use some maintenance, but, you know, they're easily programmed and do what they're told. They don't fall asleep when they're on watch. You know, they might run out of batteries, I guess, or run out of power, but they're a lot more predictable in that respect. They don't revolt unless they become sentient, and this, which, you know, the Terminator option is always out there, and the you know, going sentient is always an option, which may or may not happen. Either way, it's the culmination of all of human ignorance, you know. Oh my goodness, that's a chat we did quite a ways back on that. Yeah, I think we just covered it. Neither one of those are going to do you any good. The New York Democrat or the California Democrat? Which one are you going to vote for? Well, it's really a New York Democrat and a California communist, but it's semantics at this point. It's not really much use for any of us. You just assist, yeah. Yeah, I don't know who's assisted who. Who's doing the work for who, right? That's a tough one. Who's really pulling the strings? Because it ain't the ignorant politicians, because these politicians couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. They're pretty much just figureheads and do what they're told. So it makes you wonder, right? Who's really the ones ginning up the wars? As some people say, all wars are bankers' wars. And to a certain degree, when it comes to making money, you could say that's true. But there's also agendas being fought at some level for control of resources and such. Not everybody's getting along. It's just not the way we see it. It's not the aggressor and the defender is not really usually the way we really see it. But I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday and your takeout was better than mine. Well, mine wasn't bad. Can't complain about the Chinese tonight. It was okay. But man, we just had nobody show up tonight. David, you recognize that, right? Yeah, they just decide, it gets close to dark, they're just going to start yelling for no reason. Maybe it's just because I'm talking, right? They can be annoying. But they're a good warning system. Anything unusual, they'll let you know about it. Could be a bird, could be somebody walking, could be a dog, could be a lot of things. It's just something they don't like. But yes, that can be annoying. Is it that loud on the... They're kind of a ways away, but I guess they can be kind of loud in the background. There was a couple of chats ago on a Saturday, the rooster just would not shut up. Just walked over right behind me. So we had to shut that down a little bit early. Like these guys, they might not shut up either. Right. Yeah, time does not matter. They could be a squirrel invading the chicken food. They'll let you know about it. Yeah. So, well, about 15 minutes in, not a lot of... appreciate the people that checked in here. Some new people, UFC, David. Thanks for checking in. Usually, I was waiting for some of the usual suspects come in to discuss some things that maybe had popped up, but with the accelerated timeline, it seems like we're on for everything. Like everybody might just be busy doing what they need to do. Seller was asking yesterday. I think his video was yesterday. I just watched it today. Seller was asking about a generator and getting a new generator, and for his needs and to meet his needs, because he has, real low profile footprint, nothing, doesn't need anything big. He doesn't need to power a whole house. And he explained it. It's like, yeah, that's the kind of things people need to be looking at. He's replacing an older generator. So what does he really need to do to meet his needs? His biggest need is he needs to keep all that frozen cow frozen until he needs it not frozen. And he has a lot of cow, it sounds like. I need to trade him some pig for some cow. We could maybe work a trade. Yeah, having the windows open, and it's good to... Yeah, we've been having some cool nights around here. Speaking of that, it got down in the 50s a couple nights, so that was a good relief from the heat we had a couple weeks ago. But yeah, if they decide to sound off in the middle of the night and you got the window open, you're gonna know about it. And then you have the 04, rooster reveille for you. But yeah, it sounds like from all the videos I'm seeing, people are on the right target. People are putting their money where it needs to be put. People are looking at the things, last minute items that may come around when this 35 trillion blows up on us. Um, what else did I watch this week? I mean, Tony's got his garden kicking. You know, Tony was never a gardener. For those of you who don't know Tony, which I don't believe anybody here does know Tony. um, Tony got his garden rolling pretty good, and doing the things with his place. It's nothing short of amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it and know what needs to be done for a purpose. So that's all good. So prepping hard is the way of the year, if not the decade at this point. What somebody was doing, somebody did a video on medical kits. Who was that? Can't remember who it was. That's always a good thing to freshen up on and recheck. If you haven't gotten into it, like people say, if you make holes, you got to be able to patch holes, because chances are you might be on the receiving end as well. But all the other things that go with that, from disinfectants to cleansers and stuff, and whiskey does count, but it's not. Don't want to rely on that as your primary means of sanitation, but it is an option, right? Yeah, my garden's not doing so well either, David. I was talking about that right at the beginning. Like, just nothing's producing. A couple pumpkin plants died, and just things dying off. The sunflowers are struggling. Radishes didn't come up well on the second plant, and I don't know if it was the heat of this last month that really socked it to them, and they just haven't recovered, or what. But it's definitely not looking good. No watermelon yet, which is it's definitely a downer. But we'll endure, and hopefully we don't need it for sustainment anytime soon, because we're going to have to replant and get everything ready for next year, and hopefully get some more some better results. Usually we have we still have winter squash from last year that we have now that we feed to the animals. I'm not going to have that this year. I'm not going to have any squash go through the winter. There's no way. I don't have enough plants. Even if every plant now produces a bunch for going for the rest of the summer, like, we're not going to have enough winter squash to go through and feed everybody. So that was my first sign that things are a lot different. Hey, what's up, Nickel? How you doing? Yeah, don't forget about your medical. You know where we are, Nickel. We're in Nevada. You're finding gold? Yeah, Nickel, you're always finding the good stuff. You got that retirement plan you got going on. Even though I don't know that any of us are ever going to retire, but it'll living comfortably through the collapse, I guess you'd say. Yeah, it's dark. We're just now, the sun was going down. I'm on the back deck, so we're just wrapping up we had takeout, and that was the title of the video. And we're just wrapping up the evening. Had my fortune cookie and my fortune, and we're just wrapping up the evening. So it is kind of dark out here. You can still see the background a little bit. There's some light out that way, out in the distance, but they live. What's going on? Rabbits and the deer? Goodness, that's not good. Now my fruit tree, and that's another example. My peaches on my peach tree, aren't maturing. They're still green. They've been on for over a month, and they're still green. They're just not maturing. The cherries were good earlier. We had cherries at the beginning of the season, and the cherries did fine. But the peach tree is just like the peaches formed, and they're not developing. But yeah, rabbits destroy trees quicker around here in the winter. I don't have to worry about deer so much. I got to worry more about the sheep getting loose and getting into something they shouldn't. But I hear you on deer. Deer definitely wipe out anything young, especially. Anything that's got the potential to where they can just strip it of all its leaves, it's going to be done. There was a deer that was hit pretty close by, I don't know, a month ago. Somebody ran over, hit a deer. Kind of unusual location, because, the desert doesn't have a whole lot of deer. They usually come out of the mountains down to where the river is, into the water. but they don't usually come on this side of the river and go across. It was kind of a weird deal. So maybe even the animal movements are weird for whatever the season is. But yeah, keep an eye on stuff like that. It's good to know your animal travel patterns. The Some of the feral horses came by the other day. I wasn't quick enough on the video, and they kind of came trotting by. I was thinking I should get a video of that. Kind of a cool thing, but they are still kind of a nuisance animal. Everybody's like, oh, look at the pretty horses. Yeah, they destroy all the habitat so the deer and nobody else have anything to eat. But it is what it is. What's up, Mule Team? What is going on? How's the church doing? I know you still lead pastor. Oh, yeah. What's up, Mule? Good to see you. You're the first wrench to check in here tonight. Had a bunch of new people in it. Had a bunch of randos earlier in the chat, like right off the bat. I was like, where is everybody at? Because this is totally not our normal audience. So I just try to put out some good word on hoping everybody is paying attention and doing the things. But I think it was a bunch of teenagers in other countries based on the comments. Other brother Daryl, what's going on? Everything has value. How much is the question? Anything that's useful, it'll always have value, in my opinion. How much is value and how much it can be traded for depends on where you're at. Depends on what you're trying to trade for. It's better than not. It's better than having digits on a computer. I'll tell you that much. Of all things, like having metal is always going to be more useful than digits on a computer. No matter how much you feel it may be overvalued now or undervalued or whatever, it will have a real value at some point. That'll be much more quantifiable, and I don't know. We'll have to see and find out. Hopefully, maybe we won't find out, but it does seem like we're going to. The way things are going, it does seem like we're going to. Well, they walk through the field of corn and alfalfa to eat your trees. That's pretty funny. What kind of fruit? Just random fruit trees, like any certain fruit? Like maybe they really wanted that, those apples that day. That's pretty crazy. They just walked through a field of alfalfa though, and corn for that matter. Goodness. Mule teams on in Black Ops. What's up, Walter Davis? Good evening. Walter doing videos from the back of his it's not a backhoe. What was that? What's that piece of equipment you run? Is that called a backhoe when it's just the primary loader like that? Anyway, Walter's doing heavy equipment operations and doing videos while he's operating. So good to see the regulars checking in. Shift change, it's like a shift change. Like early on, it was like all these randos from all over the world, and then finally, I guess the algorithm finally got the video posted like we're live 20 minutes later to the regulars. Ball jars and vegetables, solid, Walter. Excavator, that's the word I think I was looking for. Your excavator operation you were running. Very useful tool. Yeah, ball jars and vegetables and canning lids, all solid investments for several years now. The ball jars, you can kind of have a limited, place to put everything, but your canning lids are the real piece that you got to stock up on and make room for, because those canning lids are going to be a key till replacement costs come back around, Well, what's been going back on the East Coast, I guess, other than the politics thing, it seems like the East Coast has been kind of low-key. You got the Middle East situation, you got Venezuela, Well, the East Coast has been kind of, man, I haven't heard anything about anything. I guess that hurricane came through, but that was through the Gulf of Mexico. Um, hmm. I guess I haven't been paying attention. Yeah, the wax seals. Yeah, right. You got to stock wax too. Well, how do you make paraffin wax on your own? Suggestions in the comments. Making our own wax. Man, how do you make wax? I know you can make, render fat to make soap and stuff. But what would you do? Somebody tell me how to make wax. Help me out here. That's a good point. Especially on jams and jellies, like wax is the go-to to seal jams and jellies, stuff that doesn't need to be pressure canned. You can't use wax and pressure canning though, can you? I guess you just get beeswax. Beeswax would always be a go-to, right? Get your honeycomb, go that way. Um, which bees, I'm so close to. Really like to get bees next year. It's out there. It's on the future planning. Like bees next year. I've got a place now in the garden. I think I got it good enough. Planted those cottonwood trees last year. They've grown really good, so they'll give some good shade in the summer. So I think if I could get 2 hives of bees next spring, we'll be cooking with gas. You know, speaking of wax, we'll see if I can get that done. This year, there were so many things I wanted to get done this winter that didn't happen. I'm really going to have to double down to get things done through this winter. Yeah, beeswax and they're fine. Yeah, yeah, like candles, right? Is there another form of wax though, other than beeswax? I know Irish USMC vet. He makes beeswax lotions and stuff. Kind of not beauty products is probably the wrong way to say it, but like hand lotion beeswax. You know, I know he does that. Maybe I'll have to ask him. I guess he uses beeswax, but maybe there's another source. Yeah, earwax. Be stocking up a lot on earwax. Yerington beekeeping class, yeah. My buddy is part of a bee co-op or a beekeeping group, and I think they meet up in the turnoff to Virginia City, where the chocolate factory's at. There's that bee place right there, and I think they meet there up on, if you up in Mound House. They live, you know where that's at probably. If you know where Yerington is, you know where Mound House is. But everybody else on here is like never heard of it. If you know where the Bunny Ranch is, that's Mound House. That's the turnoff to Virginia City. For all the non-locals, where the Bunny Ranch is where the beekeeping class is for local. I don't know how often they meet though, but he got his bees a couple years ago, and he's the one that's kind of got me, tuned into it. I mean, it's one of those things that always been like, hey, it'd be cool, but just don't have the way to do it right now or anything like that. And he got his a couple years ago and got all set up, and then he got a friend who had some wild bees come into, I can't remember where he said it was. He had some friend that came in with some wild bees and into a structure, into a shed, into something, and he's got these bees now on his property, and he's looking to try to relocate them to beehives for people. But it's like, yeah, that's like, missed that opportunity. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the bees thing's always an outlier that'd be good to track down. No, Nickel, the Ponderosa's up at Tahoe. Yeah, but we're on the downhill side of the Ponderosa. Man, I'm just gonna let you guys get out of here because I'm just sitting here in the dark now. Oh wait, Walter says there are fruits and vegetables that have wax. Oh, that's right. Yeah, bees are probably the least effort. Yeah. Um. Hmm. Wax making. I guess I have to. I want to search YouTube for wax making. See what we can find. Everybody probably takes the easy route though with beeswax. To be determined. So it's been a half hour. That's good enough for me for a takeout Tuesday. Hope everybody enjoyed yourselves. This. Hope you're keeping track of the acceleration of everything. I mean, um, it's one of those things you tried to ignore. It's like I wasn't planning on watching the Olympics anyway, and then Friday evening rolls around, and just like all social media just blows up about the opening ceremonies at the Olympics, and it's like, what is going on? Oh, they just went full Illuminati Satanism in the open with the Olympics opening ceremony. It's like, oh wow, they did, didn't they? Blasphemy right on full view. Pretty not really shocking, but it's kind of like the sad part is there's still people who are just blinded by the whole thing and still like, they talk about politics and they just don't think it's that big a deal, and they're totally blinded by the whole thing. It's just like, well, you haven't seen the ball since kickoff. You ain't going to catch it now. So you don't expect those people for the people not to see how blatantly obvious and in the open that is from that Olympic ceremony thing is just like, there's no help. Yeah, you don't know how to wake up people that are that far gone, You just can't really speak to it, So it is what it is. Walter says if you blanch squash, the crud that floats on the blanch water is wax. Really? So like summer squash, does it matter what kind of squash? Summer, winter, zucchini, like any of those type of squash? Doesn't really matter. This is just the flesh of it. Like pumpkins, does it come off pumpkins too? I don't think I've ever heard that. That's interesting. Interesting. Walter's dropping the knowledge. All right. Like I said, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for checking in, fellas. We've had topics on bees and wax. And continue to do your preparedness. Doing all the things. Doing what you can with what you got. If your garden ain't growing, figure something else out. If your garden's blooming, busting out of the seams, can it, store it, dry it, whatever you got to do. Because we're going to need it. So y'all be good. YouTube, prep hard, live free.